Now in its second year, Ironman 70.3 Staffordshire has already become one of the biggest and best supported races on the British calendar. This half-iron distance race involves a 1.2 mile swim, 56 mile bike ride and a 13.1 mile run at the historic Shugborough Hall. This year it is once again the quickest selling Ironman triathlon in Great Britain. So many veterans, wannabes, wanting to compete on this spectacular course. And among them we'll see England ex-football star Dani Mills rise to the challenge and meet Iran's first female Ironman triathlete as she takes on the Staffordshire course. The inaugural pro event, of course, won by the great multiple world champion Javier Gomez, with Luci Gossage taking the women's title last year. And she returns once again to defend that title. And a great women's field has turned up for this event. Lucy Charles is the outstanding swimmer and expected to do some damage early on. Nicole Walters, Kimberley Morrison, two women that Luci Gossage is certainly going to have to keep an eye on throughout the race.
If I'm honest, I don't like being defending champ. I'd rather be chasing people than having people wanting to beat me. But there's a lot of Brit girls who, I'm sure would love to get my scalp.
Germany's Markus Tomsch raced last year, finished second, some 5 minutes behind Javier Gomez. He's out for better this year and certainly seems to be on good form.
Also letztes Jahr bin ich ja Zweiter geworden.
So last year I got second place behind Gomez, but to be honest, that's as good as first place because Gomez on his form last year was just about unbeatable. Nevertheless, he says I did overtake him on the bike ride, which gave me a boost, and he hopes that this year he can go a little better. Joe Skipper. Now, he could be the best of the Brits today, but he might struggle to stay with South Africa's Matt Troutman, who's a brilliant all-rounder and knows exactly what's required.
You saw Gomez last year, he won here, but you know the good Ironman guys have also done well at 70.3s, so I think the distance suits me, and you just have to be able to push at that, just on your threshold or your 90% level for 4 hours, and if you can do that, you're going to have a good day.
The pro men all starting together. Mark Threlfall is in there for Great Britain as well. Harry Wiltshire, well known for his swimming prowess. Watch for that straight left arm of his. 1.9 kilometres the distance in the water, and it will take them just over 20 minutes to complete that time. The women wearing the green caps today, and Lucy Charles, as expected, the pace setter in that race. Mark Threlfall, Harry Wiltshire, Peter Kerr leading three in the men's race as the masses get ready to go. There's Dani Mills, who's done plenty of charity events in the past. He was here last year, he's back for more.
I was quite pleased last year. I think I finished 5:46. For me, it was the longest event, mixed event I'd done for a long, long time. I'd done some tries, and I'd done some long runs, I'd done some long bike rides. It's a great mix, swimming, biking, running, the whole atmosphere here. Obviously the first one here last year was magnificent, really enjoyed it, couldn't wait to come back.
Well, it is a fantastic swim in Chase water. Shirin Jarami from Iran, really enjoying the occasion, and it's going to be interesting to see how she gets on, and mark my words, very competent at all three disciplines. Now, the leading men in the pros field already finishing their 1.9 kilometre swim, and it's the Australian Peter Kerr who's first out of the water. Harry Wiltshire right behind him, and Mark Threlfall, who's been on the toes of Wiltshire for the last 500-600 metres. Good timing, 22.50 for Peter Kerr. A little bit of a gap down to the next athletes, and that is significant with Oliver Simon, who we've seen in the past produce some very quick swim times, this time relegated to the second group. Matt Troutman in there as well for South Africa, but Wiltshire is away, a lead of over 1.5 minutes on the South African. He may need every second of it. A long way to go. The next leg, a 90-kilometre bike ride. And the leading three so far going through the transition without any incident. Now, it's worth reminding you that this is a non-drafting race. The athletes have to stay at least 12 metres apart on the bike. Anyone in incurring or breaching that rule will incur a 5-minute penalty. Peter Kerr safely on the bike, as is Wiltshire. Mark Threlfall making a bit of a hash of that, and he's lost some 15-20 metres. Just as Peter Kerr loses one of his water bottles, there will be an opportunity to pick up more fluid on the way, but he may well have had a specific drink in there that he required for a specific stage of the race, so he may live to regret that. Troutman exiting T1 fast, and this is the man he's chasing. Peter Kerr enjoying the atmosphere here, and once again fantastic crowds turning out for this Ironman 70.3 Staffordshire. The leading lady, Luci Charles, she's had a tremendous swim, just over 23.5 minutes, and by my reckoning almost 2 minutes ahead of her nearest rival, who is Nicole Walters. So Walters in a good position. And the next closest to them, Morrison, Gossage, both chasing. Morrison 3:33 behind, Gossage 5:48 behind coming out of the water. So Luci Charles has really done some damage with her swim. Here is the race favourite, Luci Gossage, over 5 minutes to make up, but her cycling is outstanding. We've seen her do 100-mile time trials, and she's world class. What can she do today? In a hurry, as always. In the men's race, the leaders are away. Mark Threlfall with a good start, coming up behind Harry Wiltshire, and leading the way Peter Kerr. So the first three out of the water still pretty much together. Remember, 12 metres the distance, and a 5-minute penalty can do a huge amount of damage. Well, it's a bold performance, matching the colour scheme for Luci Charles. She's going to have a few of the men coming past her over the next couple of minutes. Just needs to stay focused on her race, and the rest of the competitors involved in a rolling start today. Really, the idea of that is to reduce the congestion in the transition area, and it certainly seems to have worked. Now, the success of most sports is measured by the number of nations involved, and with the inclusion of Shirin Jarami, women's triathlon can add Iran to their list. A brave step into sport for her, and one she's not regretted.
It was a new revelation to me in terms of just being outdoors, just pushing limits, discovering new potential, discovering things that I thought I couldn't do and then realised I could do. And at one point I decided, why not represent Iran, and by doing so try and share something that's just become so dear and such a huge blessing in my life, if it were.
And Shirin's goal is to compete at the Ironman World Championships at Kona. We wish her well, and I dare say she won't be the only one with that in mind. Of the 2,287 athletes competing, I'm sure many have a trip to Kona in mind. Well, here's the race leader in the pros. Peter Kerr still going strong. He's not managed to shake off Harry Wiltshire or Mark Threlfall, who's just behind Wiltshire. Well, that was a strange sounding pop. That could easily have been a twig. It could also have been the valve going on his tyre. And Peter Kerr is certainly slowing down, and one or two expletives that might suggest that he has a real problem. Harry Wiltshire goes through, so does Threlfall. There's no stopping in this game, and actually that might put some life into the legs of the two leaders now, and they'll try and put some distance between themselves and a very dangerous Australian. Well, make your own assessment. He's got an issue. Surely it is. Yes, it's a puncture on that front wheel, and I suspect he's not got the tools to deal with it, and that has handed Harry Wiltshire a real opportunity. Now, this man is used to being chased. It's just a question of how long he can prolong the chase.
There are some great riders. I imagine we'll get caught by people coming through, and it'll be a case of how much they've had to hurt to get us and whether we can hang on when they get there.
Mark Threlthal takes his turn at the front. Harry Wiltshire back in second. Marcus Tomsk of Germany now in third, and Matt Troutman of South Africa in 4 ahead of Great Britain's Joe Skipper. A class leading 5, but there is no doubt that Tomsk and Troutman are gaining on the leading 2. Well, here's Troutman looking very steady, very efficient on the bike, trained by Brett Sutton. He won the Ironman 70.3 South Africa this year and last year, and his best time at 4:01. That would have won this race. That time would have won this race last year, and he goes past Tomsk. Well, he makes it look easy, averaging 41 kilometres per hour. The women's race just a fraction slower. It's still Lucy Charles leading the way, but I have a feeling that's Kimberley Morrison behind her. And Kimberley Morrison has gained good time. 3 minutes 33 seconds she was behind coming out of the water, and Morrison goes through. Well, that's a fantastic effort. She is pushing hard. She wants the win here. Certainly not intimidated by Luci Gossage, but doing everything she can to hold off the champion. Gossage now. That looks like blood on the thumb, blood on the leg, blood on the opposite elbow. She has had a tumble. The bike looks okay, just looking for any obvious damage, but she may well have mechanicals. Well, good speed by Harry Wiltshire, but he's still being caught, and Tomsk and Troutman are going through. Troutman in the dark strip, and Tomsk just behind him in the white. And Harry Wiltshire, is he going to respond? I'm fairly sure he will. He'll try and stay with these two. He's down in 4th at the moment. He'll be well aware that Troutman's a very good runner. But still up front, we have Mark Threlthal trying to get to T2 first. And then he's still got a half marathon to go. Success for the majority is making it all the way to the finish at Shugborough Hall. But for the pros, it's going to be ferociously competitive. Winning is what matters. Welcome back to Ironman 70.3 Staffordshire, the second time this event has been held. And once again, a fantastic turnout for what is turning out to be a hugely popular event. Shirin Jarami from Iran going well. She had a good swim, 34.13 for 1900 metres. That's very respectable, and so far holding her own on the bike as well. In the men's field, the pro field, it's Marcus Tomsk of Germany who has the lead ahead of Matt Troutman of South Africa. Mark Threlthal, the best of the home nation, ahead of Harry Wiltshire and Joe Skipper, who was a little slower in the water than he would have wanted. Tomsk and Troutman leading the men's field, Kimberley Morrison leading the women's, and she outswam the champion Gossage. She's outriding her as well.
I always race to the best of my ability. I just race as fast as I can, but I think what I've got to do to get a good result is really capitalise on my strengths, and that's my swim bike.
And so far, so good. Here's Luci Gossage trying to make up for that fall she had on the bike. I can't see her catching Morrison before T2. Work to do on the run. The leading men into the second transition. Tomsk and Troutman. Troutman, the South African, in the black strip, the quicker of the two, certainly on the run. Has he saved something to pull off the win here? Here are the chasers. Mark Threlthal, who has to go back to the penalty box. He's been penalised for drafting. That's a 5-minute penalty, and that could end his chances of finishing on the podium. Harry Wiltshire continues. The chase is on. Has Wiltshire improved his running this year? If so, a top 2 certainly possible. Well, it's a long, painful wait. Tomsk the first out onto the road, and he's got a 30-metre advantage over Matt Troutman. Well, what a battle between these two. Tomsk desperate not to finish in runners-up position, which is what has happened last year. Beaten on that occasion by Javier Gomez. But to be honest, they're on a quicker time schedule than they were last year. And if they can produce a half marathon under 1:15, they could break the 4-hour barrier. That's impressive stuff. Well, already Troutman making ground on Tomsk, and he's going to go past the German without any trouble at all, very quickly into his running. Now Mark Threlthall gets the thumbs up, he's away, but 5 minutes in terms of the speed they run, well, he's at least 1.5 kilometres behind. Joe Skipper, we haven't seen much of him, and that's the price you pay for not being quick out of the water. And he's left himself with a lot of work to do to catch these two men. Troutman leading Tomsk, who has improved his stride, improved his cadence. Is he going to put some pressure on the South African? Kimberley Morrison, the first woman into T2, big smile on her face. Now, looks as though she's got a little bit of a limp, but I suspect that the feet are just numb, and it will take a while before the blood gets down into the toes. Luci Gossage as focused as ever. Now, she says she hasn't done much running training. That's quite possible, but that means this half marathon is going to be tough. Usually, she has a fairly decent lead at this stage of the race. Tomsk looking light on his feet. Both the two leaders coming in just under 6 foot, weighing around 71, 72 kilos. Harry Wiltshire, a little taller, a little heavier, but running well at the moment. It's a stunning running venue round the Shugborough estate, and one that Kimberley Morrison will probably enjoy at a slightly more conservative pace later on. At the moment, she's just focused on staying ahead of this woman. Luci Gossage looking good. The oncologist turned triathlete. Lots of personal challenges going out on the course today, and Shirin Jarami is no different. This race a stepping stone to bigger things.
What really excites me about Kona, if Kona comes about, is that it's one of the biggest, hardest, most challenging races in the world. And I have a long way to go still, but all I can do is do what I can do.
And we'll follow her progress as it goes. Certainly, she's met the challenge so far, as has Danny Mills. He's ticked off the swim and the bike ride.
I can't resist a challenge though. I'm one of those idiots that someone says, bet you can't, and I go, I bet I can. You just get sucked in. That competitive edge just kicks it. And it's not about beating everybody else, it's just about beating me.
This is a hill, by the way. We're going so slow. Steep hill.
Wonderful support all the way through the day, and it makes such a huge difference to those competing. Now, Kimberley Morrison, who in 2014 was the European age group champion, took that title out in Austria, but it looks as though Luci Gossage is going to come through. Just over 7.5 miles completed of the half marathon run, and finally the defending champion is back in front. And now she's got to keep the pressure on, because Kimberley Morrison won't give up easy. Let's just have a look, see if she can change pace. Well, she has done so. She's into Gossage's stride. Absolutely the right tactics. But how long can she stay there? As that battle goes on, Matt Troutman's battle is nearly over. He's into the last couple of 100 metres, and the title is going to South Africa. A former single-handed yachtsman, an international kayaker. Now he is a triathlon champion, and he takes the Ironman 70.3 Staffordshire title without any trouble at all.
No, the first lap I wanted to give myself a bit of a buffer, but you know, you never know how the guys are running behind you. You know, try to stay in control, but keep pushing it. Couldn't ask for more.
Harry Wiltshire, well, he's fought, and the reward is second place. He has just got ahead of Germany's Tomsk, and last year's runner-up has to settle for third this time round, beaten by Wiltshire.
First lap, I thought I was just trying to hold fourth off. Second lap, I had a little bit of hope, and then I kind of thought, no, it's not going to happen. And not really till the last 3K did I think we were on for a race, and I was lucky to get the sprint, but he was strong all day, and I'm really, really pleased for second.
Great to see Wiltshire on such good form, especially when you consider he broke his back in 2014. But it's Matt Troutman who takes the title here in Staffordshire, 3:56.23. That's almost 6 minutes quicker than Javier Gomez last year. And in the women's event, it's going to be Luci Gossage who ties up the title for the second year in succession. But it's not been easy this time round. All sorts of problems on the second stage.
I couldn't do anything else on the bike. I was running like that, and then and the crash, and the brakes were stuck, and it's just really hard. But I think when you mentally, then I had to back my run without doing that much run training. So pretty pleased, really pleased.
And Kimberley Morrison can be pleased as well. She takes second place. Had she done triathlon at Loughborough instead of hockey, it could have been a different story.
I kept my cadence up and kept going. I wasn't gonna slow down. I wasn't gonna assume she was gonna take the win. I was still gonna try and hunt her down. I've got to be honest, I've never hurt so much in a race, but I just wanted it so much.
Gossage 2 minutes slower than last year, but she takes the win. Morrison and Bartlett can be proud of their efforts, and Lucy Charles in fourth. Very much a family affair here in Staffordshire, and after 70.3 miles, they can still raise a sprint for the line.
Absolutely amazing. Awesome race, yeah.
First time, brilliant.
Halfway through that run, I thought that was it, but just keep going. Woo. Really good race.
An impressive number of relay teams involved today, and some needing a little help over the final stages.
You flew, you smashed it. I was going fine until the last mile, and then I really locked up.
And I targeted, by beating 5 hours, I did 4:55.
Good swim, good bike, enjoyed the run, I really enjoyed today, it was good.
And for the second year in succession, Danny Mills has made it to the line.
Swim was okay, bike was good, a couple of accidents.
Oh, what happened?
Just came off a couple of times on the bike, had a couple of big crashes, but overall, got round, that's the most important thing. It's Ironman, not Marshmallow Man.
And how about this, Shirin Jarami, all the way from Iran, and she smashed it as well. 5 hours, 48 minutes.
It was amazing fun. Maybe hard, but amazing fun. Next challenge is Kona.
The rain has not washed away Shirin's dreams or the smiles on the other athletes' faces, and many of them will be back next year, or committing themselves to other Ironman challenges this season. And I dare say a few lives have been changed today for people who've proved they can achieve more than they thought possible.